Good morning, my brothers and sisters. Welcome to episode number 12 in the book of Genesis. Today is If You See a Tree of Life. So, yesterday we looked at a creation story from Genesis chapter 2. Then the Lord God formed man of the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living creature. So, yesterday we learned that man's made of two things. One is common stuff, carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and all of that's in the dirt of our planet. And then, secondly, you were made out of the most rare element possible, which is the breath of life. The breath of life, which is the breath of God. So this makes you permanent. This makes you planned and makes you precious. So your critical element isn't the dirt, it's the breath of God. So we find that God makes us and forms us, and He creates us for fellowship with Him in this garden that He's going to make. So what was I created with? Dirt and the breath of God. All right, then He puts us in a garden. Here it is, verse 8. And the Lord God planted a garden in Eden in the east, and there He put the man whom He had formed. And later He's going to put Himself there. And verse 9, and out of the ground the Lord God made to spring up every tree that was pleasant to the sight and good for food. And then here's the important point for today. The tree of life was in the midst of the garden, and the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Now, we're not going to get to the tree of good and evil here today, of the knowledge of good and evil, but we want to talk about the tree of life here today. It's a species of tree that's heard from basically on the first page of the Bible, Genesis 2 here, and also in Genesis 3. And then it's kind of like not heard of again until the last pages of the Bible, Revelation 22, when heaven is restored. It's a marker for a place where God resides. So when we see the tree of life, we see that God is residing there. And it's a marker of rewards, and it's also a marker that this fellowship has been restored, and you're like in unencumbered fellowship. It's a marker of eternality. It's the tree of life. It's created, basically, I'll summarize, it's created in Genesis chapter 2. It's wrecked in Genesis chapter 3. Then there's this 1,000-year period of the Bible where this rescue plan, 1,000-page and thousands of years rescue plan that's made for the rest of the Bible until Revelation chapter 22, when the relationship is then restored. So, this tree of life is a marker that Eden was supposed to last forever. Now, heaven, which is Eden 2.0, is going to last forever. So, removing man after falling and before Jesus restores this relationship again from the presence of the tree of life was actually a mercy. So, we are at risk for getting stuck. We were at risk for getting stuck in a broken relationship with God forever. If we would have eaten from the tree of life in a broken, fallen state, we would have been stuck there. This unremedied relationship with God would have been a terrible place to be forever. So note how it plays out in the Bible. God builds a garden for unimpaired fellowship. He built it and designed it to last forever, but it got broken. And so God stopped access to that until the relationship was restored. Jesus did that. And then we get to live forever in this restored relationship with God. So it is as if God says, we interrupt the sin in the garden for a thousands of years rescue plan. So after it's enacted, we're going to have you back in good fellowship, and then we're going to make that eternal. The next thing the tree of life tells us is that Eden was supposed to be interesting. So we learn in Revelation chapter 22 that the tree of life bears different kinds of fruit I think it's a monthly basis. So heaven is always going to be interesting and changing and exciting. So the tree of life is more than just alive. It doesn't just mean the basics of life. It means exuberance and healthiness and energy and vitality. It's a really, really alive. So Eden is created with the tree of life there, and it's a marker for this walking with God, this intimate fellowship with Him. So one of the characteristics of the first Eden and also Eden 2.0, which is heaven, is that this restored intimacy and access and familiarity and seeing the face of God. It's Genesis 3:8. Then they heard the sound of the Lord God walking in the garden in the cool of the day. We get that in Eden, and we're going to get that in heaven. So we were meant to live forever with God in fellowship. And God gives this new ability not to die after we see his face. So where there's going to be in heaven, there's going to be no more death, uh, no sin, no more tears. It's going to be a fantastic relationship. So the tree of life is a marker that all is well between God and man. It's non-broken fellowship, and heaven is going to fix all that. So heaven's going to tell us, the tree of life tells us five things. First of all, that Eden was supposed to last forever. That's number one. Number two, heaven is supposed to be interesting. Number three, that heaven is going to fix all the wrongs of the earth, all the things we cry about. And the tree of life is a marker that that has been restored. Number four, the tree of life is a marker that the relationship with God specifically is in good shape and we're walking with him. So the fifth thing, and kind of my most interesting thing for today, is that it's a mercy that we didn't eat from the tree of life when we were in the broken relationship with God, but we get to eat from the tree of life after the relationship is fixed. So in conclusion, if you wake up and you see the tree of life, you know a couple things. First of all, you died. Secondly, that you're a believer. Thirdly, that your relationship has been restored and that you're in heaven. And it's going to be the most interesting, most energetic, most healthy, most happy, and most exuberant day of your life. Why? Well, because God is going to be there, and the tree of life is going to be part of the neighborhood. It's when God puts the tree of life, it's a neighborhood that God is building, yes, for you, but also for himself. So it will be like Eden in that there's going to be no more tears, no more death, and you're going to have great fellowship with God. Thanks for listening.